Greetings, wizards. Welcome to the Papercraft Wizard channel. My name is Kelly, and I'm so glad you're here. In this video, we're going to be making a wonderful pop-up card using the beautiful Graphic 45 Flight of Fancy collection. To begin, let's make our card base. I have a piece of cardstock here measuring 5.5 by 11 inches. I'm going to score that at 5.5 inches. I'll take my bone folder to help me get that folded over. I'm going to use some holographic paper, and I'm going to adhere that on top of the card base. And then on top of that, I'm going to use this beautiful blue piece of our decorative paper from the Graphic 45 Flight of Fancy collection. I'm going to add liquid adhesive to the back of our shimmery paper. And then I'll adhere this to the card base. So I want to try to make sure that I have an even amount of space all the way around. It should be about 1/16 of an inch. So my card base, one folded, is 5.5 by 5.5. This glimmery piece of cardstock is 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. I'm going to use my bone folder to go ahead and make sure that that shimmery cardstock is nice and secure. So now I'm going to use this blue piece of cardstock from the collection. And this piece is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. And that'll fit right here on top of our shimmery cardstock. You want to get that nice and centered. And then I'll use my bone folder to make sure it's nice and secure. Now that that's in place, we'll go ahead and set our card base to the side. I'm going to be watercoloring a piece of watercolor paper to add this to our card. If you don't watercolor, you can always choose another piece of paper from the collection for this piece. Here is my funky prototype here. And so this will actually only be this strip around here. So no need to color the whole thing. And I'm just going to splatter this from the tip of my paintbrush. I'm making sure my paint is pretty wet. And then I'm just going to splatter it a bit around. First I'm using purple. Next I'm going to add a little bit of blue. There we go. Just adding a little bit more blue. Then I'm going to take my squirt bottle and spray all of that. Try to get some of that moving around there. I'm taking a paper towel and I'm just kind of blotting it around the edges. I'm going to clean my brush and I'm going to add some green. Now I'm going to spray some pink all over it as well. And I'm just trying to use colors that are found in the collection. I'll use my heat tool to help that dry. And now I'll set this watercolor piece aside to dry. For our two pieces that are 4 15/16 by 5 inches, we'll start with the left piece. We'll turn it over to our back side, and then we'll score that at 1 inch and at 2.5 inches. So that when we fold at our score lines, for our second piece, we're also going to flip it over, but we are going to score 4 inches and at 2.5 inches. We'll fold on our score line. Now we're going to make some small cuts in our center section of our folded paper. In our center section of our paper. For the first one, I'm going to slide it into my paper cutter. If you don't have a paper cutter like this one, you can use a craft knife instead. So I'm going to slide this in till I have it where my score line is lined up with my 1/4 inch mark here. So I'm a 1/4 inch in. I'm going to go up to the top, and I'm going to go a 1/4 inch from the top, and we're going to make a 3/4 inch cut. Then I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to slide it over just about 1/16 of an inch or less, just a smidge. We'll go up to that 1/4 inch mark line and down to our 3/4 inch. You'll see we have our little slit there. Now I'm just going to take my craft knife and connect those two lines and cut that little piece out. It does not have to be exact. Now for the opposite one, we're going to do it the exact same except for opposite. I'm going to line up my score line with my 1/4 inch line here. I'm going to take this up to the 1/4 inch line, and then we're going to go from a 1/4 inch, we're going to make a 3/4 inch incision, and then we'll move that over just a smidge, and we will make a similar incision. Use my craft knife to connect the lines at the top and at the bottom, and then pop that piece out. We're also going to do one for the bottom. Now for the bottom one, we're going to line up our score line at the 1/2 inch mark. We're going to go a 1/4 inch from the bottom, and we're going to give ourselves a 3/4 inch incision. And then we'll move this over to 3/4 inch. So I'm going to line up this score line at the 1/2 inch mark. And then I will put this down right at about 1/4 inch. slide it over just a bit. And now I'll take my craft knife and trim that. Next, I have 2 strips that are 6 inches by 1/2 inch. And I'm going to score each of these at 1/2 inch on each end. And then we'll go ahead and fold those at the score lines. The next thing we're going to make is 2 little pieces like this. To make these, I have 2 pieces that are 1 inch by 3 5/8 inch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my paper trimmer. I'm going to leave 1/4 inch on each side of this, and I'm going to cut a line 1/4 inch in. Okay, so there's our first one, and now I'm going to turn it around, line it up at the 1/4 inch mark, and then take that all the way to just 1/4 inch. So now you should have slits. Now we're just going to take our scissors and we're just going to trim right up to that cut line on all 4 sides. And we'll make 2 of those. So this is how I intend to layer these cards together. Now, our first layer is our black cardstock, and then our shimmery paper, and then our watercolor paper. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere all of these pieces together, and then I will use a die to cut my window. You can use a craft knife to cut it or any other cutting device. I went a little crazy with the glue on that one. We're going to go ahead and try to perfectly center this, leaving about 1/16 inch all the way around. Now that we have that on there, we're going to go ahead and adhere our watercolor piece right on top of that. And so I'll add the adhesive to the back of the watercolor paper. Just trying to make sure that that will be equal around the edges. And now I'm going to go ahead and adhere that onto our shimmery paper. So I'm just going to use my foam folder to make sure that's nice and secure. And I'm just going to wipe away some of that glue. Okay, so here is my cover piece, and I'm going to run that through my Vagabond 2 with a die. And here's how it looks when it is all complete. Now we're going to start putting our card together. First, we'll start by bending our card at the score lines that we created. And so now we have our left and our right. We'll take our background piece. We'll add adhesive, the outside 1 inch piece here. And these pieces are a little bit smaller than our background piece. We should have a 32nd of an inch on each side, and I'm just trying to make sure that is nice and squared up. And I'll do the same for our second piece. I'm just adding an adhesive to the 1-inch segment. And then I'll go ahead and adhere that right into place. We want to make sure there's a little bit of space on the top and the bottom. So we want it right up to the edge on the side. So now we're going to take our frame piece and we're going to add some stabilizers to it. We'll go ahead and turn that around. And we'll add adhesive to both of the little tabs on the back. This is where our paper will slide in. So we'll add that to both sides. And we'll go ahead and adhere the second one in place. And I am putting it right up against where the window is, with just a sliver of space. And we're almost finished. So now we'll go ahead and we'll slide these little guys in. We're going to go ahead and add some liquid adhesive and then adhere this mechanism to our card base. So now here we should have about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And so we look good. Now I'm just going to go ahead and open up our card base, use my bone folder, and make sure that's all nice and secure on there. Before we add our frame, let's decorate the inside of our card. There are so many beautiful ephemera pieces included with this collection. I'm going to be using some acetate strips in different sizes and some adhesive dots. So I'm just going to go ahead and start adding in my decorative pieces. And this is how I've decided I want my frame to look. I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and put some string through the tag here and make that look extra cutesy. I'm going to add a little bit of dimension to the butterfly. So I'll just add a couple of little pop dots. Then I'll take my twine together and put it through the hole. And then we'll grab that twine in there and pull it back. Now I'm just going to trim off some of the excess there. Then we'll go ahead and adhere that into place. Instead of cutting finger holes in our frame, since it's just so pretty, I decided to go ahead and use paper to create little pull tabs. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere those into place now. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. And now that we have our tabs on, we can go ahead and add our frame. And I'm just going to stick it on one side and then on the other. Okay, now that I have it on that side, I'll slide it all the way up. So now we have finished our card. There's the closed position and the open position.